Hello, hello. Our God practice for this week is one that I have made up. The others are all ones that I've pulled, and the future ones will be ones that I've pulled from history and from resources. But this week, to the best of my knowledge, I've made it up. It is what I call the alphabet of God. And what I mean by this is, well, the goal of the alphabet of God is that it helps expand our descriptors of who God is. So statistically, as humans, we are all creatures of habit. I don't know what your go-to names for God are, but mine tend to be Jesus, Lord, Abba, Beloved. Good names, biblical names, very grounded, but very habitual. They keep me kind of in a focus. And so when I was in college, I started journaling. And each journal entry, I challenged myself to write a new name for God down. It was a prayer journal, and so I would start it with provider. And I would journal and reflect a little bit about how God was a provider, and then I would move on into the rest of my journaling. But it became a habit for me to challenge myself to think of new names for God that were new descriptors that help broaden my understanding and my resting in who God is. And so the alphabet of God is, you can literally write down the alphabet or think it in your head, but I encourage you to come up with a descriptor of God for every letter of the alphabet. Yes, it can get quite complicated when you get to X. Q, I've only found a few for. Some are a little more complicated than others. You got to get creative, but you don't have to be legalistic, but it's a fun way to come up with 26 plus descriptors of who God is to help you think outside of that box and to see and remember how mighty and powerful and big our God is. So I do this, like I said, I've done this in journaling, but the actual alphabet, I go through it at night. So when I'm trying to fall asleep at night, instead of allowing myself to think about anxious thoughts or my worries for the day or someone I'm concerned about, I go through the alphabet of God. And I'll fall asleep around the middle of the alphabet before I get to the complicated letters. But it allows me to focus on God, to get creative in my mind. If I wander off, I'm like, oh, yep, I was on F, get back to F, see what letter I have or descriptor I have. It's a creative way to rest with God and to be present with God. So even last night, I was falling asleep and I decided instead of the alphabet, I was like, oh, I'll spell out my name. I'll use the letters of my name just for something different. And so I was on M, it was my second one, and the word that came to me was mesmerizing. And I don't think I've ever thought of that one before, and I was like, that is so cool. God is mesmerizing. In the small intricacies of who he is, in the vastness of who he is a mesmerizing God in a good, beautiful way. And so I encourage you to try it, to challenge you to try it, get creative, and see what you can come up with. I don't think there's right or wrong answers. I feel like God is so immense. There's millions of words that describe who he is. And so challenge yourself to come up with a few new ones. Enjoy.